Hey everybody, how are you? I hope your Saturday is going a little bit better than mine is. Talk amongst yourselves and let me know how you're doing right now, because if I start talking in the next couple of minutes, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to say pleasant things. So take your time and say hi. Hey Emmy, this was primarily just as something for Emmy. I need to adjust the camera. It's up too high. Hang on. Or is it? No, I think it's fine. Hey, John Scott. Yang. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel. That's something positive I can talk about. So if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. We're at 5,207 subs, and that is pretty good. That's about 3,900 from where we were this time last year. Jesus, I need a shower. Look like I've been cleaning out an oil sump with my head. Thank you, Cooperative. That's cool, Boone. Sorry to hear that, Magnificent Devil. I was fine until about 10 minutes ago. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I like Bailey's okay, but I wish I'd had a cider or one of my porters cold already. The doors are a good choice, John. No, it's just Bailey's on the rocks. You know. And in case you guys are wondering what Bailey's is, it's premium whiskey and cocoa powder, essentially. Some corn syrup, I guess. What is a White Russian anyway? Was that like vodka and Kahlua, or coffee and Kahlua or something? I like it in hot chocolate. Bailey's, I mean. But no, Emmy said she wanted to do something before the damn it. Sorry, I'm getting a message here, guys. I got to respond to this. My apologies. Anyway, I'm sorry. Emmy said she wanted to do something before the speakeasy, so I said, you know what? What the hell? Let's do that. And if you don't know what that is, look up Nerd Cognito on YouTube and go and give them a subscription. They're at 150 subs. I'd love to see them hit a couple of hundred before the new year. Hey, Lord Cass. Don't apologize for anything, Elvin. You didn't do anything. I sent her the link to the back room, by the way, guys. She was here for a few minutes. I almost got her on camera. Hey, Bob. So anyway, this is not the last Saturday before Christmas, but it is darn near. Once I get Yang his manuscript and do my my corporate gig on Wednesday, I'll have enough money to start Christmas shopping. Anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna put this link up there. This is the Saturday Speakeasy for Nerd Cognito. You guys should go check them out. I look like a zombie dungeon minister. Seriously, give me some blue and green tinges and I'd look like one of the Walking Dead in the shopping mall in the original Day of the Dead from 80. I'll go you one better than that, Ryan. There you go. 5 Eastern. Primo online talk. I wonder what it is that YouTube does that I'll see like 16 and then it'll bump back up to 19 and then it'll bump up to 20. Hey, 151. Mark Morrison, hello. 10 p.m. UK time. That's right. You got to stay up late, girl. That's what we like to see. Get Nerd Cognito over 200. I try not to expect too much out of people. You guys are wonderful, though. You guys are wonderful. And, you know, this community, by which I mean you guys out there in the audience, you specifically, have done so much for me, and so I'm trying to be very cool and not sound like, you know, woe is me. Oh, that's fun, Ryan. That's awesome. Part of what I do, and one of the reasons my channel has grown so much, is in addition to trying to use this platform to lift people up as best I could and share classic Dungeons and Dragons, something that affected us all in January of last year was Wizards of the Coast misbehavior, their ongoing misbehavior. It is continual. They have not stopped. 155. That's what I like to see from you guys. 155. That's 45 out from 200. Let's get them over 200, guys. Tell your friends. And by the way, Yang Yan Zhao, please check out his channel too on YouTube. Get him some subs. Now, I could ignore everything that Wizards of the Coast does and everything that affects Wizards of the Coast. But when the company that controls D&D becomes the sick man of tabletop RPG hobbies, as Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast currently are, and if you don't believe me, go watch my video on their layoffs. I have to report on it. When they literally lash out at the body politic, I mean, you know, people will tell me when I say, you know, hey, get your reprints off of drive-through, get them quick. And they come back and they say, well, it doesn't matter because I've got Osric. I don't care about them. I don't need them anymore. I've got Swords and Wizardry White Box. I've got DCC. All that stuff is built on something that they tried to take away from us this past January and February, and they still are. They still are. If you think they're not going to do it again, you haven't been paying attention and you are being willfully ignorant. So I felt it was my duty to report on that. And when I did, I picked up a lot of subscriptions. A lot of people were desperate for news that was coming out of there. And I concatenated, okay? I don't live in Seattle. I don't have the means. I don't have certainly at 1,300, 1,400 subs at the time, I didn't have the means, the reach, the influence to get a statement from somebody. And nobody at Wizards of the Coast was certainly going to talk to me. So when stuff would come up on websites like Kotaku, when there would be threads on Twitter, when there would be Facebook posts, when there would be news on ICV2, when there was PC Gamer, for God's sake, was talking about it. I concatenated that news and I brought it in. And there were, after a while, a couple of things leaked to me. Like somebody sent me that information about, the safety letters that they sent to D&D influencers when they were paving over actual creators. And I thought, if the good that I can do with lifting people up, if I can also channel some of that energy into keeping people informed about all the horrible things that Wizards is doing, and they have been doing horrible things. They started doing monumentally horrible things in January, and they haven't stopped all year long. We've gone January to December, and I think maybe July was when they didn't have an uh-oh. But people that I'd never interacted with were leaving comments on my videos, and they were subscribing to my channel saying, hey, I've never played classic D&D, but, when this happened with Magic and this happened with Wizards, your channel was recommended to me, and now I want to check it out. I want to check out old D&D now. Or, I think old D&D is cool now. I'm going to keep playing 5e, but your channel's cool, and you've got a voice, and thank you. And I felt good about it. And yes, it got eyes on me. And yes, it did turn this into a, hey, I can afford a gas tank today level of income. And I have lovely Patreons. Look, I don't do this for money. But if my channel can grow a little bit through what I do, then that's good. I have said, and I have continued to say, that I support everybody down on the small end of TTRPG YouTube. Yang covers comics mostly, not TTRPGs. He's got some awesome stuff coming in 2024, so you should definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Ryan over at Nerd Cognito I mean, you guys say things that I wouldn't dare. I'm way too safe. Thank you, Retro DM Ray. Dungeon Minister is the nicest person on this platform. RPG Grandma is like getting like a rolling education in just all this various stuff. You can get an associate's degree in random RPG stuff from RPG Grandma. And so many other wonderful creators. You know, I have a Grenadier Red Dragon miniature that now go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on eBay complete, that I got painted up by Bill T. Michael Mertig, hello. So I do what I do. I try to do what I try to do, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And when I saw the damage, the self-inflicted damage that Wizards of the Coast had done to themselves with the firings, and look, we can talk about whether you want to dance on the graves of these people who've lost their jobs, or mourn, or, you know, say, damn shame, whatever you want to do another time. When I saw the real extent of that happening, first I released a shorter video than the one that I released yesterday, and I sat on it all night. And one of the reasons I sat on it was because another channel had done a video about the firing. So I said, let me hold off on this. I don't want to be a candle against a searchlight, right? I want my own moment to shine. And in the interim, I got more news. I went out and I dug up, you know, all the links. I don't have the tabs in front of me here, but I searched that stuff out. I searched out news, and I got those links. Hey, man, how are you? And I put together what I thought was a pretty good video, and I expressed my thoughts on it. And I put the video out. And I titled it a certain way. Yeah, the title was clickbait. Sue me. I'm playing the algorithm just like everybody else. But it was how I felt. The Wizards of the Coast layoffs are worse than you think. And I know a bunch of you guys don't care. You come here to see me open, like, 50-year-old game boxes and see what's inside, and talk about obscure rules and make you feel excited to really want to track down Twilight 2000 1.0 and play it. Give me a shout out to MCD&D. That's great. That's great, Mark. MCD&D, is that what it's called? Let me see. Let me pull that up. I'll exalt them. I have a platform. I have a voice. MCD&D. Yeah, here we go. Flying Air Dragon. I'm gonna copy, and I'm gonna share this right here. Give them a subscribe, guys. Five minutes before I started this stream, a very big nerd culture channel. And I want to be clear, I admire these people. I thought they're honest, they're straight shooters. I've left comments, subscribe, follow them on Twitter. I don't, followed back. I don't think they're subscribed to me on YouTube. They dropped a video, same sources, same title on their title card as I had in my title text. Today, this afternoon. In the 45 minutes that the video was up before I saw it, they got more views on the video than I have gotten since yesterday when I put the video up, and will continue to. I'm not going to start YouTube drama, and I'm not going to start internet beefs. So I'm not going to talk about who they are. There's topics that you can't ignore. Nobody was going to, I didn't expect to be the only voice regarding the issue that started in January with Wizards of the Coast. I certainly didn't. Lots of people talked about it. I never saw a video go up that I thought, why couldn't they have done their own thing? But this, the spotlight and the candle analogy. Oh, I just got the spotlight shined right on me. Hey guys, check out this cool can. If Dungeon Minister, if Yang, anybody else had done that, I'd be laughing and kind of, hey, nice video title. But to get lifted from and buried by a channel that can lose more subs in an afternoon and then gain them back in an evening than I have in my entirety. People who do well enough that YouTube can be their job. And I get a cramp in my gut about spending $50 on a camera lens just to try and make my channel that I do entirely by myself. And I don't have a sound man sitting over there. I don't have a light man. Nobody's running a teleprompter for me. My studio is a garage. When this house was built, somebody parked their 71 Plymouth where I'm sitting. Hey, Feifel. It is enough to make me want to just go back to doing shitty webcam miniature unboxings. The same topic, the same sources, I get it. But looking at that, there's no way. I'm sorry. And this is the second time that's happened. This is the second time I've released a video. Bam. They've dropped another one. right on the heels of mine. Same topics. Exactly. Once it's a coincidence. Once is a coincidence. Merry Christmas to me. I am literally, me and every other small creator in YouTube, Dungeon Minister, Yang, Nerd Cognito, are literally fighting against a corporation that is not indifferent to small platform growth. They actively fight against it. If I did the things that some of YouTube's favored daughters do, you would never see from me again. Google would probably just kick me off of their platform entirely. No more Gmail, no more Google Drive, no more Blogspot. Just gone. And so I try and work with inside their framework. And that includes working on things and doing things to get promoted. But YouTube's model is the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. To get views, to get your voice out there, to get subscribers, you've got to have views, you've got to have your voice out there, and you've got to have subscribers. Hang on. And in going forth with my candle today, someone who doesn't need it pointed their spotlight at me and switched it on. I was out there singing at the top of my lungs, and they turned on their Marshall stacks. I literally just wanted to come and sit here and have fun today and talk about the holidays. So what can I do? All I can do is just release another good video and watch somebody strip the ball and run it back the other direction for another touchdown that they don't need. James had to leave early. How far did I get with the miniature painting? Hang on. Let me see. I didn't get too much further with Sophie Santa. I'm going to paint her up. I'm going to take a night this week, probably Thursday night, late Thursday night. I'll do a stream. Where's my... I'd like to get a stream box so I could stop clicking around. Let me see. But holy God, those things are expensive. You can't see that at all. Come on. That's as far as I got. Oh, she is upside down. So I'm going to do a sepia wash on her wings, and then brown dry brush. And by the way, this mini, if you guys want, this is not an affiliate link. Nobody affiliates me. Let me see. I think she's the 2002. Thank you, Bob. And I read that in. I actually read that in Brian Blessed's voice in my head. I would just send you guys to the Reaper website. I don't know if they have it. It didn't pop up in my early search. So the 89 buttons I have to push. This is her. This is not one of their plastic minis. That is a metal mini. And that is a bad thumbnail. It looks much better than that. And that is that sculpt is Sandra Garrity, I believe. Come here, you. Yes, this is Sandra Garrity. So she's got a lot of levels of washing and so on and etc. before she's done. But I'll get her done on stream for you guys, and I'll have a little Christmas ornament. I'll have a little Christmas Sophie painted up. What hair color? Okay, well that depends on. Let's see here. See if I can find something. Yeah, it's a miniature and on. So this is going by their website. You know what, here. Because lots of people paint her up how they want. So here's Sophie as a druid. I mean, if that's their official paint up, it looks like she has kind of a brown, but that may just be. I'm feeling red though. Yeah, well, there's the card, and they've got her as a brunette. They've got her as a brunette. So, hey, Mobius. Do auburn. I could do. Emmy is brown with red highlights acceptable? Is brown with red highlights acceptable? Dungeon Minister's over there looking at Sophie going, I can fix her. No, really, he's an actual pastor. He can fix her. Thank you, Fievel. Heck, I was even going to ask if you guys want me to paint, but I can't right now. I did ask if we were going to do, when I started painting her up, if we were going to do like American Santa Claus or European Father Christmas paint job. And overwhelmingly, it was American Santa Claus. So her bag and her tabard and her hat are going to be red. Cast her out or hear her confession. Potato, potato. I saw one. I'm pretty sure I've posted this on social media and tagged you on it before, Dungeon Minister, but there was a there was a bit where it's like an old style etching of a woman. She's leaning into a confessional saying something, and there's a caption on it that says, "And last night I pretended I was a toaster and put 2 slices of bread down between my breasts." And the priest is saying, again, not a sin, but very weird. Yes, I have that Sophie. I have the Urban Legends 72 millimeter tall Sophie, and I have I think I have one other Sophie, but they are all metal. Reaper's plastic minis. Reaper's plastic minis are they're okay if you just need a bunch of things. But if I need unpainted plastic minis, I have 3 resin printers out there. I can print all the plastic minis I want. I'm probably this winter, I'm probably going to try out I'm probably going to try out I'm sorry. I'm probably going to try out ABS like resin. I did back during like the spring into the end of the year for Paul Stormberg, I printed a crap ton of accessories for a guy who's doing who's doing the Temple of Elemental Evil in 28 millimeter, the entire upper cathedral, not the whole dungeon, not the whole 4 levels of dungeon. And Paul asked me to do the casting. He put me in touch with Doug Waltman, and Doug and I worked on that, and he gave me the specifics of what he wanted and so on. And Paul organizes Dragon Days in Steve Roberts 10s and 20s only, I think. Okay, Anon. Well, I will be off the air by the time Nerd Cognito and Speakeasy come on, but you should watch them after me. He did B1 in 15 millimeter, and I did a bunch of fixtures for that. But anyway, Paul does Dragon Days in Lake Geneva, which is a fun fair to celebrate fantasy and tabletop RPGs and Gary and Dave and all the TSR classic guys. And he wants to do a miniature paint and take for the next Dragon Days. And resin is brittle, but they make an ABS like resin. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. So this, I don't know if I can break this. No, I can't. That one's actually pretty tough. But this tends to be pretty brittle for fine details. Swords, upraised hands, legs, arms, tends to be pretty brittle. And so if I'm going to print up minis for Paul's paint and take, I'm going to be using ABS like, which you can find ABS like videos on YouTube, and they can show they'll show how the how flexible the stuff is. Hey, Lightmane. It's about that brittle, James. A little bit tougher. Let me see. Can I find something that I can show you guys? How? Okay. Let me see if I can show you this. All right. Let's go over here. All right, I'm going to try and get this in shot. Excuse me, Sophie. Okay. So, see how I'm flexing her tail? And it's just coming back into shape. This is like an ABS like plastic. Resin, have I got something I can sacrifice? Let's see. Who wishes to die so that my example might live? I don't really have anything in the scrap pile. I don't. This sucks. I don't have anything up here I actually wish to break. Well, you know what? I can show you by example. This is my daughter's character. I bought the STL on Hero Forge. Well, this is my daughter's character. I bought the STL on Hero Forge. And just kind of by example, I'm not going to put as much pressure on this because I don't want to break it. It's not like I can't recast it, but let's see. So I'm exerting some force there, and you'll note that her staff is wiggling slightly, but it's not bending like that were-rat's arm was. Steve Roberts, God bless you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I thank you so much. I think it is, Savo. I really do. Feifel. What a winning combination of sculpture, painting, and miniature. I had someone, an acquaintance of mine, I won't go so far as to say a friend, enjoy your editing, Dungeon Minister. We'll see you around. But an artist friend of mine actually got on my case because I said that miniature painting is an art and I'm not an artist. It's my wife's cat trying to come over and find a place to lay. She loves it when I have my table cleaned off, and I have to have my table cleaned off because I've got, as I said, a pro DMing gig coming this week. Doing a corporate get-together thing. I want to mess with it, Orbital Air. First of all, both of my printers have paid for themselves. Everything is art. You're 70% sure. Savo, do you know your way around 3D software packages at all? 2 words. Feifel miniatures. I'm just saying. But yeah, I slather paint. Let me show you one. Let me see if I can find this. Well, I know where they're at. I don't need to see if I can find it. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. Sorry for the silence. Hey, Emmy, gifted a membership. Hey, who's the lucky person who got a membership? Bless you, Emmy. So this is a manticore that I painted. This is another plastic one you can see here. But this is for White Plume Mountain, the manticores that are in the menagerie. And I painted this up in about, you can't really see the bottom of it, but I painted that up in about 15 minutes. Be well, Mark. Thank you for hanging out. Retro Ray, thank you. So yeah, I mean, if you're willing to slot paint, you can knock minis out like that because it's a monster. Nobody's going to see it. And what else? What else? From that same run. And if you know, I have not tried to use nail polish on them. I think that would be, I'll leave the nail polish to Feifel the next time she loses a showdown with a succubus. But no, I have not. If you guys know the menagerie in White Plume Mountain, you know that there's also sea lions in. So there's a sea lion I did. And again, that's trying to tilt it to you guys. That's all of like 5 minutes painting. Its mouth is open. It's facing up. Oh, might it mitigate? It might, but it's very thick. It's very thick for what you get. I think you might have to thin it so much with acetone that it wouldn't really help. I am, Michael, this year I am switching to, I'm going to check the time. I don't want to step on Speakeasy. It is, that's only 3:20. We're fine. So I'm going to get James's question. Cleanliness and economics of scale. On a $200 printer, if you want to make terrain and you want to make it out of plastic and you don't want to use a Wonder Cutter and just foam board, a 3D printer with a 6-inch bed can print 4 2x2x2 terrain pieces. And it will use a lot of resin in doing so, and it will take hours and hours. An FDM printer. Oh, that's a good question, Steve, and I'm going to answer that question here in just a minute. I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to mark that. So if you want to make terrain and you don't want to cut cardboard or foam core or whatever, which I'm going to talk about on the second channel when I launch the second channel. Then an FDM printer is absolutely way more efficient. Way more efficient. For characters, there is no comparison. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, you're still good, you just print with a 0.02 and or a 0.2 nozzle, and I just no. Just no. Big characters like this big, sure. 28 millimeter at the scale my daughter's was printed out, absolutely not. And if that's all you want to print, then a small format printer, like a printer with a 6-inch print bed, is all you need. Michael Mertig asks, do I use these when I'm DMing? I did. I've stopped. I'm going to come back to it in 2024. The live streams for D&D and for my private games, I have all these cameras. I can do more with them than just live stream with them. I've got 2 1080p cameras. This is one of them over here that you guys have been watching through. And I have all these studio lights and stuff. So yeah, I will be using them more, and you guys will be seeing more of that. Have I used Army Painter speed paints? Yes, I have. No. Okay, let me be 100% clear. I didn't have good luck with them. I will show you guys. See if I can find her. Did I strip her? No. It was supposed to be. It's supposed to be a one and done affair. Let me see if I can get this in shot. Very blotchy is how I would call this Lamia. Very, very blotchy. So pretty disappointed. I did not see darks sinking down and having like a light highlight on top. And I was just disappointed. I love Army Painter's paints in general, but I didn't have good luck with their speed paints. Maybe there's some magic you can do, but the biggest problem is re-wetting. You're going to go back, you're going to paint, and then you're going to come back and paint again on what you just painted. The Army Painter speed paints re-wet and do that. They turn into that watercolory thing. I didn't have good luck with them. I did not have a good experience with them. Sorry, and that was Steve Roberts' question. Okay. How long does it take to make a mini? If you have the STL, Michael, getting it set up can take anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour, because you have to know how to do supports. And I'm going to talk about that on the second channel. Exactly, Mobius. Yeah, their quick shade is awesome. I have some of their quick shade Magnificent, and it's great. I mean, if you mean preparing it to print, 10 minutes to half an hour to get all the supports and get it arranged on the plate. And then once you fire up the printer, depending on your desired resolution and everything, it can take anywhere from 2 to 8 hours, depending on what detail setting you set and what resolution you have your printer set to. You guys are just full of questions today, and I'm here for it. Thank you. Do resin printers desire a specific room temperature for best results? Yes. Okay. Consider the best example would be pancake syrup. If you have like organic pancake syrup, like keep this in your fridge. When you go to pour it out, it goes very slow. It has a very, very low viscosity. It'll come out like goo. A 3D printer, basically, it works on hope. 3D printers are powered by hope and wishes for good luck. A resin printer comes down and mashes into a clear plastic film, which is on the bottom of a metal frame, and it's stretched taut, like a drum. Underneath that is a glass photo plate that is displaying each layer of the image, and then using UV light to cure it to the previous image. When the printer lifts off, it has to push down hard enough to force the image that's going to get flashed onto the previous layer. When it lifts off, it has to be stuck on hard enough to stay stuck, but not so hard that it pulls your print off and leaves it in the tank, and then the head comes down and just slowly mashes it, or worse yet, damages your printer, because those things come down and they push with force. So what is going to happen is, with colder resin, the resin is thicker and stickier. It's going to want to let go less. Some printers have built-in resin warmers. The cheap ones that you and I can afford can't. They don't do that. And again, this will all be stuff I talk about on channel 2, but I was asked now, so I'm going to talk about it now. And Orbital Air says, yes, 72 to 90. So, yeah, like my outer garage is probably 60 today, maybe 70. And I wouldn't do that. The nights we get cold snaps here, I don't even attempt to print on those because I know my resin is probably at like 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I guess that's like what, like 17 to 19 centigrade. Thank you, Bob Jester. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Bob says, I never have anything to add. When I ready a super chat, too tired from the night shift to think of any questions. So here's a Brian Bless. Blood, death, war, rumpty bumpy from Blackadder Series 1. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. Okay, Feifel Savo asks, can a resin printer make a cast for a lead figurine? I mean, can the resin be made to stand up to the heat of molten lead? No. The resin will melt, it will burn, but what you can do is make your prototype out of resin and then make your mold from the prototype. So you're about halfway there. So you could use it as a mold master. And somebody said upstream, oh, James Seymour, I miss Grenadier Miniatures. You don't have to miss them anymore. Go to mirliton.it. I'm going to put that in the stream. Go to mirliton.it. They have about 60% of the Grenadier molds. You have to know what you're looking for by sight because a lot of the products' names are changed. But if you've got like, oh, I have the box and like half the miniatures for the Tomb of Spells set from Grenadier, you can find them there. And then just repopulate your box with brand new miniatures. One of my friends here on the show, Feifel, has done resin masters. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there is resin and there's resin. 3D printer resin versus like, hang on a second. See if I can find one. This reproduction D6 This is a reproduction of the six-sider that came with a Holmes basic set. The guy who makes these makes them out of resin. They are very, 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 very much tougher than a 3D print. So he makes masters with his 3D printer and then casts the masters in silicon and then casts resin, like much more durable resin out of those. Doomsword is his name. And let me know if you want to join the Discord. You can talk to him about that. We actually have a 3D printing channel on the Discord. I will send you the Discord link. Well, that depends on when you're tuning into the stream, Danny. Working on a small tank model with photo etch. You hate photo etch. Royal pain in the butt. Is that like the copper plates that details are acid burned into? Don't apologize, Danny. That's not what I meant. No, see, now I want Feifel minis. Now I want you to find a sculptor and send them like 360-degree drawings studies of Feifel and get us some Feifel minis. No, Feifel. And don't you misspell her name or you'll face her wrath. We're doing well, Danny. Thank you. I did Orbital. I actually FDM printed some vehicles at 1/100 scale. They're smaller than one. Well, I did one. Let me see. This was last year. I wish I bag on filament, but I really wish I could get my filament printer kicking again. Hang on. Let me see. That doesn't surprise me. Hey, Patty. I wish they'd cancel that damn Corvette. Corvettes haven't looked right in about 40 years. This is a... take this here. That is a fictional tank. That is called an HSVTL. It was basically an experimental tank that the Army was looking at in the late 70s. Ultra high tech, very, very computerized. The problem was the big gun there is a 76 millimeter autocannon. It fires like a machine gun, like a 3-round burst. And under certain tests, the Army couldn't punch through. The Army could not punch through certain types of Soviet armor, so they scrapped the whole design. I mean, they could have put a 105 on it and kept all the high-tech gadgetry and still had an incredibly fast tank, but they didn't. They stuck with a Sheridan, which was a piece of junk, and yada, yada, yada. And that is a filament print, yes. Somebody asked me, Patty asked me what my go-to resin is. It is just Elegoo Gray. Elegoo Gray, water washable. I find it works awesome. This is another filament print. Whoops, still a lot of stuff in the shot. That is a U.S. Marine Corps LAV 25. It is a MOBOG, or Malbog, or however you pronounce it, MOAG. Armor personnel carrier, carries 10 plus 2 crew, 25 millimeter gun. The Marines love it to death, and it has evolved over the decades. It is an awesome vehicle if you use it properly. The T-14 is garbage. I literally do not believe a single thing the Soviets have sold on the T-14. They are actually super prevalent, Danny. It's just that the camera does not pick up the prevalence of the layers. Oh, neat orbital. Soviets, did I say Soviets? I meant Russians. You know how it is. That's cool, Patty. But I will let you guys on a little secret. If I can see what I'm looking for. I don't think I can. Okay. We'll have to save that for a video, but I'm going to show you guys a printer that you can I'm going to show you guys a 3D printer. Not now, but when I get the channel going, a 3D printer you can get for about $5. For about $5. No, it's not something from wish.com that's made out of cancer and comes with a Bitcoin miner that aggressively rootkits your PC if you use it. I mean, you can buy it just about in any city. I don't know what my printer settings are these days, Danny. I'm literally going to have to relearn how to print filament when I get my printer tweaked. Hey, GM Jacko. Just BSing, man. Just hanging out till the speakeasy. Yeah, you know, it's material. It's material for the new channel. I don't want to spill it all here. And then you guys be like, why do I need to watch this? Thank you, Patty. It'll be up there first of the year, probably first week of January. The first video is not going to be pleasant. I don't mean unpleasant like today was unpleasant, but I'm basically I'm going to scold people. I'm going to scold people because I see a lot of stuff going on with other 3D printing channels. I'm not calling anyone out. I don't do that. As angry as I was about the situation that occurred today, I didn't feel it necessary. I didn't feel it warranted to call out what had gone on. What kind of printer, Boone? Resin or filament? Resin, once you get it dialed in one time and you keep using the same resin, it's not very high. Filament printers, hang on, James. Filament printers, the learning curve is a vertical line. It goes up at a steep angle and then just turns vertical and just goes straight up. There is no curve. It just goes straight up, and it is infinite. It is an infinite vector upwards. I know of nobody who filament prints and it just works every time. There are people with pro 3D printing YouTube channels. I mean, it's all they do. They get paid YouTube money. And stuff will just randomly wreck itself. Why? An air current blew through the room. An air current didn't blow through the room. Their printer was slightly less leveled than it should have been. Their belts were too tight. Their belts weren't tight enough. Their filament had a moisture bubble in the core of it where you can do nothing about it. Their filament was too old. Their filament was too new. Their nozzle was at the microscopic level worn down just enough to cause too much filament to extrude. Resin You dial in your resin settings, you level your bed, you do your supports on your model, you make sure the temperature is right, you press print. I would say 85 times out of 100 when I've done prints, they have been perfect. Probably closer to 95 times out of 100. As long as you're paying attention and you have good supports and you have a level print plate, you're fine. There's so much that can go wrong with an FDM printer or print. Like you can get like up to the top, you're watching it and it's drawing the demon's horns and you're like, this is going to be so awesome. And you go to bed and you come up the next morning and it's got a fro where its head should be. Or it pops off the base and then melts through your print. The print head literally like, it would have been savable, but the print head stopped where it was and just melted like 3/4 of the model. So filament printers, the hobby, if you buy a filament printer, the hobby is robotics. The hobby is robotics. The byproduct of your robotics hobby is printed material, is printed objects. And Ryan David's right. Filament can never be mastered. It just can't. It cannot. There's something else I was going to show. And the hell of it is, like, these tanks came from the later life of my printer, and I had it where it was like level, load design, click print, take it off, spend a couple of hours popping the supports off, done, next tank. And it was just going and going and going and going. And then in the middle of a print, or not even in the middle of a print, when I was taking a print off of the bed, my bed tore. My print bed, my magnetic print bed tore. It had a little flap of it lifted up. No problem. I'll go find a magnetic bed for it. I'll go find a replacement magnetic bed. Found one. Put it on. It's not magnetic enough. So it just slid around and nothing would stick to it. So I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. Big brain on Bill. I know where that tear is at. I'll simply not print there. You know? It just hasn't been right. It just hasn't been right. Sojkanth and Sojkanth, you're quite welcome. So tonight I'm going to drop a video. I've been having so much fun with the Advent dice calendar. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. When I'm in a better mood, I'm going to do the Advent dice calendar later tonight. One thing I'm going to tell you guys, back to the resin printing. I know a lot of people are like, look, I just don't smell it that much, or it just smells a little bit like, it just smells like a plastic bag would smell. Phenolic resin is organic. It is an organic compound. It will fuck your lungs up. And your pet's lungs, and your kid's lungs, and your wife's lungs. Don't resin print in your house. Mine is on the other side of this door. Okay? That door has a washer seal around it. And sometimes, like, my wife will come home and I have been printing all day. That door's been shut. I've been going out the garage door into the house, and my wife will come home from work. And now she has a sensitive nose, but she'll come in and say, have you been printing? Open the windows. And you might think the solution is, that's no problem, I'll set it outside. That will kind of work if you are willing to put a black cover over your, well, it doesn't have to be black, but basically a cover that shuts out all light over your printer, because sunlight cures resin because it's ultraviolet. And that's a principle on which photoresin works. Yes, James, they are volatile organic chemicals. But I keep my garage door open about like that, so that there is air circulation out in my garage. One thing I have neglected doing is wearing a respirator. That's changing in 2024. My first video will be a lot of preaching about safety. But you want eye protection, skin protection. Now, I wear nitrile gloves, and they have to be nitrile. They cannot be rubber. They cannot be latex. They cannot be vinyl. Nitrile. I wear nitrile gloves, but a lot of times I'm out there short sleeved, and I have like been working on a print, removing it from the plate, and it pops off the plate, does a somersault, and the piece will land on my arm, and which means I get resin on my arm. So you have to scrub that off. Now people are like, it's not acid, it won't burn you, just wipe it off. Your body will say, I don't want that on me. So clearly you're going to keep doing that. We need to send a message to you. Congratulations. Your body will become allergic to it. And then every time you get it on you, you will get contact dermatitis outbreak where it first got on you, or where new blobs drop on you. Just a long sleeve shirt, James. Just a long sleeve shirt will do. But you want a respirator, eye protection. If you're worried about bits maybe popping off and just landing on your face, definitely that. Hair protection. Look, I'm a long-haired freak, okay? If you're bending over, working on a piece, and this gets down in the resin tank, and you do this, or it flops over on your face, guess what? You're contaminated. So you want to be safe. And my first video on the 3D printing channel will be very much going into safety. Very much going into safety. It's the good news is cleanup is actually pretty easy. Clear plastic garbage bags, you can order them, you can get them from Walmart or wherever. You all work in offices, right? You know, the plastic bags that your office personnel, your office staff come in and put the daily trash in. They're clear. Get those bags and throw your paper towels, your rubber gloves, your supports, your failed pieces that are so failed that they're not worth keeping. A failed mini can be a great busted statue. Yeah, exactly, GM. But you put those in the clear garbage bags, tie them shut, and then leave them out in your driveway for a couple of hours. Go out and kick them over so that they mix up a little bit, and then leave them there. The gloves, the paper towels, everything. The sun cures them into solid plastic, not volatile organics. After that, throw them in the trash. You're just throwing away a bunch of plastic. It's not much better for the environment, but it is better than just throwing wet resin away. If you live somewhere, let's say you live in the UK, Emmy, I think you live in the UK. Oh, well, back to letting spiders bite me. Does that mean you're going to go give a bath to a child, or are you being sultry? I will need to go AFK to bath baby, or to bathe the baby. I just want to be clear on that. I'm just talking smack, gang. But one of the projects I'm going to do is a curing bucket. I will not spoil that, but I'm going to show you guys on the second channel how to make a curing bucket. And then when you're not curing stuff, you can just throw all your trash in the curing bucket. Or you can just basically you put a clear liner in the curing bucket and you'll put your stuff in there and you'll just run the light. I can think of a few reasons why not unregistered hypercam. I love your username. How many of you guys remember back in the early days of YouTube? I'm talking like 2006, 2005, 2006, when people would upload clips in like 144p and you'd see that logo in the lower right-hand corner, unregistered hypercam. Socially awkward, lusty Bart. If I could rearrange the alphabet, I would take you out of it. So many RuneScape PvP vids, EverQuest vids. You know, people still rocking their EverQuest in the early 2000s. Then you're the best mom. I proclaim you the best mom if you're going to read your baby a Dungeons and Dragons story. Well, go take care of your little ones. I'm going to do this maybe for another, what time is it? 3:58. I'll go for another half an hour, I reckon. I'm more or less calmed down now. I guess now I'm just disappointed. DOSBox machine so you can play Master of Magic. DOSBox is fun. I gotta admit, I gotta admit, it is stupid easy to get stuff off GOG and just double click, but not everything I want is there yet. Like, I would love if F-15 Strike Eagle 3 was on GOG. I know like F-14 Fleet Defender is on GOG. Descent into the deep. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's funny to get like a 300 kilobyte download for a game you remember being on floppy, like one 5.25-inch floppy, and like the whole install directory on your 10 megabyte AT hard drive was like 22K, and you're like, what are you guys? Good old games. It's okay, Danny. I don't know why I should get upset about it, you know. I'll tell you this, we're at 5,211 subscribers. F-15 Strike Eagle, yes. F-15 Strike Eagle came out for the Apple II, the IBM PC, the Commodore 64, the Atari home computers. Strike Eagle 2 was a 16-bit game that came out for the ST, the Amiga, the Mac, the IBM PC. They were both very much sim-light games, although playing F-15 Strike Eagle, I felt like it was a hardcore sim on my Commodore 64. I was like, yes, this is intense. We got to fuel. We got to monitor fuel and engine speed and ammunition. This is a hardcore sim. But F-15 Strike Eagle 3, they just went full ham and said, no, F-15 Strike Eagle 2 was also very sim light, but a little bit more realistic. And Strike Eagle 3, they were just like, here's the chapter in the manual on how to use synthetic aperture radar. Here's how you make patch maps. Here's how you designate laser guided bombs using the TISO system. And just on and on and on and on. And when I heard about Strike Eagle 3, I was hyped because I was like, oh boy, I had an Amiga. God forgive me, I had an Amiga at the time. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be awesome. And it was only released for PCs of like 386 and up. 4 megabytes of RAM. I think like the hard disk install seemed huge to me. It was like an 11 megabyte install on hard drive off of 4 floppies. It was a beast of a game. Michael, I'm going to answer that question in just a minute. That's a really good question. Go set up the speakeasy. Everybody, after this, I want you all to go to the speakeasy. I want you to go find @NerdCognito on YouTube after my live stream, and I want to see you there. I want to see 30 people watching the speakeasy this afternoon. I want to see 30 people watching the speakeasy this afternoon. The strangest funny death a character of mine had, a Gondorian squire in a Middle Earth setting using the Rollmaster rules, mouthed off to a northerner, not a ranger, being played by my buddy Rob. And he did it a few more times, and Rob said, if you say one more thing to me, you ponce, I'm going to gut you. And I said, oh, I don't think you will do that. And he did. Like, he rolled a bunch of open criticals and gutted my character on the spot. And then to try and make amends, he was like, I'll see what I can do to heal the whelp. And then like critical failured his attempt to heal me. This was in 1989. I had spent all day building that character. All day. And I was hyped because it was the first game with a huge group of people. And it kind of scuppered the game. Rob's brother, Kevin, was upset about that. Now, at the table was, we'll call Rob's brother Kev. He kind of fades in importance to this story. At the table was a guy who helped me build the character, Kevin. So Kev, game master, not important to the story anymore. Kevin, very important to this story. So we played some other games. We moved on. That was in 1989. Fast forward to 2002, to 1992, 1993. Kevin calls me at work and says, hey, we're going to play some Rollmaster tonight. I'm answering Michael's question, so I'm going to take this off the screen. We're going to play some Rollmaster tonight. Let's go there. And do you want to come? I was at work. He paged me. I saw his number on my pager and I was like, hang on. So I go in the back room and I was like, well, I got no ride. And he's like, well, where are you at? I'm working at the mall over the Florida Bowl. Oh, that's not far from Rob's, or that's not far from my place, or whatever. So Rob, the barbarian who gutted me, is my ride. I've talked to Rob since then. We've hung out, but it's been a long stretch at this point. Rob is my ride home. I live dozens of miles away. So we sit down and Kevin says, what do you want to play? And I'm like, what setting are you guys playing in? It doesn't matter. Just what kind of character? I'm like, okay. Well, it's Middle Earth again. Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, could I run like a Subutai ripoff who's from Haradrim? And he's like, oh, that works perfectly. Fine. And Kevin doesn't go through the build process. He just has me write down a few things that he thinks are appropriate. So we go searching through this necromancer's tower, a scion of Sauron. And I said, I'm going to scout ahead because I'm thinking D&D thief with my character. Kevin takes me aside. Says, the necromancer finds you. He uses dust of domination on you. And he says, you may return to your friends. You will not speak of this event. It's like charm person, right? You will not speak of meeting me. When the time comes, if I am attacked, you will defend me. So I go walking back and they're like, what'd you find? Nothing. Okay. Yada, yada, game goes on. Enter the necromancer's chamber. Rob's character that he's been playing in this game for 3 years walks up and says, blada, blada, yada, yada. I'll get to your question in a minute, Vincent. I take Kevin aside. Kevin, who is the most threatening to the necromancer? Kevin goes back in, looks at the table. We had miniatures. Comes back out to the foyer where we're standing. It's Black Bardigan, Rob's character. Cool. We go in and sit down. Combat ensues. My thief, highest dex, highest offensive bonus, whatever. I fire my bow at Black Bardigan. Roll your attack. Critical hit. Roll your critical. Foe is pierced through both cheeks. Shunk, shunk. Target dies after 12 inactive rounds of agony. Kevin didn't roll those dice behind a screen. I rolled them out on the table. Then I rolled the critical out on the table. Rob jumps up, throws his dice down, points at me, and says, you did that on purpose because I killed that stupid Gondorian squire of yours. Rob was absolutely positively convinced that I did that on purpose, that I had somehow bided my time over 3, almost 4 years to get into a game and off his character. All I can do is just start cracking up because, folks, the critical descriptions in Rollmaster are hilarious. Rob is freaking out because his character in a 3-year campaign that I literally breezed into one night has killed him dead. I have unalived him. He was absolutely insistent that I had done that on purpose. And even if I did, how could I know that I would roll that set of criticals, a literally 1 in 1,000 chance? or maybe 1 in 10,000 chance to get a 66 and a 99. Now, remember when I said Rob was my ride to the game? He was my ride home across dozens of miles. Oh, did I get an earful. Now, to Rob's credit, he was understanding. So, I know you didn't roll the dice like that. I know that's just how it works. But he was so upset. Fast forward to 1999. I haven't seen Kevin and Rob and another friend of ours, Jason, in a long time. We're all at Rob's house having beers. He's married. He lives in a different part of town. We're having beers. We're having a good time. We're telling stories. I get to this point in the story, and I repeat. And you know, I couldn't have done that on purpose, even though Rob was convinced I did. There's that conversational pause in the room when no one is speaking or laughing. Kevin Wood, my dear friend Kevin, says, actually, Bill, you didn't do it on purpose. I did. Black Bardigan had been a thorn in my side in that campaign from the minute Rob created him. And I was always pissed off that he had killed your character the same night you'd created him. So that was me. All of us, Rob included, broke down. I don't think we stopped laughing for like 10 minutes. I had tears of laughter rolling down my cheeks. And that is the funniest character death that I've ever had. I hope that was worth the storytell. What was my impression of second edition AD&D? Interestingly, Vincent, that dovetails into this discussion. I was getting out of D&D. Well, no, let me rephrase that. The group that I had joined with my character who got killed in Rollmaster, they were sick of playing D&D. 2E was coming out. 1E had become a bloated mess. They had played D&D from like the 70s into the mid 80s, and by 1989 they were done with it. They never wanted to play D&D. I still played 1E, and having no group, I just ignored 2E. I knew nothing about Gary. I just figured 2E was more of the same, so I didn't bother with it. I just shelved my AD&D books. And when I returned and I started looking at versions of D&D, I looked at 2E in like the mid 90s, mid to late 90s, when I started warming back up to AD&D, and I was like, this is not the same. This is like, ew. This is like fantasy romance. This is like hair metal. I don't care for this. So that's my feeling. That was my first impression of 2E. So 15 minutes, guys. 15 minutes. Ask me anything. Oh, Gunner Heat PC's on sale. How much? $23.99. I'm gonna have to get that. We were talking about classic, just about anything, James. I mean, you can ask me anything. That doesn't necessarily mean I'll answer it. One of my favorite games on the Amiga ever was from Microprose. It was called M1 Tank Platoon. I have M1 Tank Platoon 2, but it's a little jank to get the GOG version to run on Windows. I may give it another try someday. But there's one called Gunner Heat PC. You just did ask anything. Har, har, har. Very funny, James. Gunship was another lovely one. But Gunner Heat PC, now this is not an affiliate thing, but it looks awesome because it's like it wants to recapture M1 Tank Platoon. And the name comes from, that was a terrible idea, Vincent. It was a bad idea and it was badly implemented. How can you add monster cards in with data when some monster cards spill over to other, like multiple cards? In a tank, when the roles in a tank, driver, commander, gunner, loader, are very well defined. You're at a station and you do your one thing, and that's all you do, unless somebody is injured or you're just down a man and you have to do multiple jobs. There is a cadence to the operation of a U.S. military tank. The commander's job is to observe the battlefield, find an enemy target, service it until it is destroyed. And he will give orders to each station. You know, driver reverse right 30. They've got a little spirit level or a computer display that tells them how many degrees they're turning, and then they'll back up. You know, driver ahead slow. It's like being the captain of a ship, except your ship is a little bit bigger than the space I'm in, and it's got 4 people crammed into it. When the tank commander sees a target and he identifies the target, he knows that a target requires a specific kind of ammo. Sabo is a metal dart about 40 millimeters in diameter that is held in place with a plastic collar. And when it reaches the end of the gun barrel, the plastic collar flies off and that dart continues downrange and it punches through. It's the preferred weapon against enemy tanks. Softer targets you may want to explode and burn. Hey, RPG Grandma. She has my favorite user avatar, by the way. So let's see, I see a building that I see enemy fire coming out of. And I'm the tank commander. I will push a button, swing the turret to the target, so that the gunner's sight is now looking at what I'm looking at. And I will call back to the loader. Gunner, heat, building, fire. Or gunner, heat, building, hold. What I've just done is I've told the loader to put high explosive anti-tank into the gun breech. The gunner is to be ready and to wait for my order to fire. So the game is called, yes, heat is shape charge. Heat is high explosive anti-tank. The end of the shell looks like this. It's a cone. And when it hits, that cone collapses, and it uses a liner made of metal or glass inside the cone. It turns that into a hard, it's weird. It's a weird state of plasma and solid material, but it punches into the vehicle. But the explosion of it doing that also causes explosion damage. It's kind of an all-purpose round. So the game is called Gunner Heat PC, implying that the tank commander has seen a PC. Gunner Heat PC, you know. It's a little more complicated and looser than I'm making it sound, but that's basically it. And I'm excited about it because it is M1 Tank Platoon reborn. It's not so difficult that like you have to learn Like Sims from Jane's and from Microprose got stupid complex. Like how and they've just gotten more like DCS World. You need to know how to fly an A10 to fly the A10. There is no sit down, manuals on my knees, templates on the keyboard, and let's go. Like, oh, I better pull up, and you pull up on the stick and in the game, and the screen just goes black, and G overload, and you hear all these alarms going off, and when your vision fades back in, you're upside down and about to arc into the runway, because that's what happens in real life. Like, I'm 53. I'll be 54 in a few weeks. I don't have time to learn how to fly an F-15 or drive an Abrams tank for real. But I want something a little bit more than, first-person shooter level of vehicle control. Infinite ammo, constant third-person view, just hit scan with your shells. Kabuki said, "I've never been in a tank. Those things seem like death traps." A properly supported tank is a very is a very effective and safe place to be. Well, I'm about to wrap up, guys. First of all, before I do, I want to thank you guys all for your questions. Yeah, I've heard of that Steel Battalion controller. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Emmy, for your gifted membership, and I hope you had luck with the baby. Big thanks to Steve Roberts for your super, and everybody, all of your questions. Thanks for cheering me up. I was pretty down. As is just one of those things I'm just going to have to get used to. But I really appreciate it today, guys, because I was going to come and just be of the season and just shoot this shit with y'all. And I did. I ended up doing that. And you guys lifted me up, which is what our community does. We don't drag each other down. We lift each other up, because that's what we do. If you want to support the channel, you can support us on... I turn that off. You can support us on Patreon, or you can support us through YouTube membership for as little $1 a month on Patreon, or $2 a month on YouTube memberships. You can support the show. And if you want to support us at the $10 level, the Master Thief level, oh, how ironic, then every month you will get a first edition AD&D adventure written by myself or my co-host. And that is the $10 support level, either on Patreon or through YouTube. You will get one of those every month. Just a little amuse-bouche to say thank you. And please do subscribe, like the video if you like it, and if you're watching this later, leave a comment down below. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, everyone, and I'm going to go watch the Speakeasy, Nerd Cognito. I'll put that up one more time as I get the credits ready. Go over there and watch the Speakeasy. Go watch with Ryan and all those. And now I got 32 people hopping on. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. I will see you. I want to see everybody over there. I want to see them with 30 people watching. I would really like that. You guys want to do me a solid? Go watch it, and let's get them up to 30 viewers. Good night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course. Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.